Okay, so it's 6:14 a.m. I'm in a very warm sleeping bag, snuggling with Indy. It's 41 degrees Fahrenheit outside, which is about 5 Celsius. But I did not come to Yosemite National Park to snuggle. I came here to hike from my campsite on the bank of the flooded Merced River up to the top of Nevada Falls, a distance of about 9.5 miles round trip, with about 2,600 feet of elevation gain, which I have never done before in my life. Begrudgingly, I pull on my tights and my hoodie and I head out. And almost immediately, I run into trouble with flooded trails, forcing me to off-road it, which would happen a lot on this route. The first tough section was the toughest section. It's this grueling walk up the side of Vernal Falls, which felt like walking through a car wash if a car wash used barely melted snow to blast you in the face. And also if the car wash teetered on the side of a cliff, and if you slip, you die horribly. It wasn't too bad at first, but as I got nearer to the top, there was this small river running down the steps and all of these deep puddles to either step in or try to avoid by clambering to the side on increasingly steep and slippery rocks. And at some point, you just give up. You step in the puddles because at some point, you're just so wet, you can't get any wetter, so why not? Now, you might notice there are no other people in this video, despite the fact that it's shot on a Friday in June in the third most visited national park in the United States. That's because, again, I got up at 6:14 a.m. when it was 41 degrees Fahrenheit. By the time I got back to the trailhead at 11, it was mobbed. I had to choose between hiking in the warm sun or being alone, and I chose alone. And I think I made the right call. At the top of Vernal Falls, I had planned to change into dry clothes that I brought in a Ziploc bag, but the sun hadn't made it over the mountains yet, and honestly, I just didn't want to get naked when it was still cold and wet, so I decided to just keep going. And that was the right call, because while the trail up to the next point, Nevada Falls, was drier, it wasn't dry, so I just would have gotten wet again. Luckily, I was wearing wool socks and quick drying shoes and tights and shirt and an anorak over top of it all, so as long as I kept moving, I was actually pretty toasty. I brought 3 liters of water, but it turns out I didn't need all of it because nature made a little water fountain. At the top of Nevada Falls, I finally found the sun, and it felt amazing. I was completely alone. I had an incredible view of the Yosemite Valley, and I had a delicious granola bar to eat in the sun. It was honestly like best breakfast ever. Part of the John Muir Trail was collapsed, so I had to backtrack down to the top of Vernal Falls, but at that point I detoured over to Clark Point, where I got some more insane views, plus snow. Back to camp at last, where Indy was somehow more exhausted than me, because I guess waiting and worrying is just as tough as hiking.